Good morning, everyone. We're nearing the end of September, so I wanted to give you a tour of my fall garden, and we need to plant some more stuff today. So let's just hop right into it and let me show you what I have planted, and then we'll get to planting some other stuff. So in this bed here we have Kentucky Wonder pole beans. They were doing very nicely, and then for some reason one of the plants died. I don't know why, but the rest of them are doing really good. They're growing a lot taller than I thought they would. I haven't seen any flowers on them as of yet. Then in the next bed we have sweet potato. This is our second crop of sweet potato. Now the next bed, this bed here, is our peppers. These have been growing since the spring. They have seen better days. They have some bug damage on them. We had some army worms come through. There's a nice pretty red pepper there. That's a bell. Most of this bed is bell peppers. Over here, I have pulled out all of the pepper plants that were in here in preparation for the fall bed. This pepper plant here is lunchbox peppers. They're a very small pepper. You can take a bunch of them, throw them in your lunchbox, snack away on them. Mikey loves these lunchbox peppers. I like them. Now in the next bed here, this is our Christmas tree. This is Tabasco peppers, and this is 2 plants, and as you can see, it is massive. That is probably 4 feet wide and 4 feet tall. That is a very large pepper plant. I have harvested some, and I'm working on making some homemade Tabasco sauce with them. And if that works out, I'll make another batch and give some away for some Christmas presents. This bed is empty. We're going to plant some beets in here. This bed, I had tried to plant a row of carrots, but only about 5 of them came up, so we're going to replant carrots in there. This bed is sweet corn. Now I know everybody's probably thinking I'm crazy. You can't plant sweet corn in the fall. Well, this is peaches and cream sweet corn. It matures in 75 days. Supposedly we have 50 days left until our first frost, so it might make it, it might not. We wanted to experiment. We wanted to plant it a little bit sooner, but we didn't get the seeds in time. So we want to plant it anyway and experiment and see if we actually can plant it in September and get a harvest. If we can't, we can't. Next year we will try to plant it in July or August, probably August. So that's an experiment bed. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Now the next bed, as you saw in my last video, these are our cucumber plants. These were started indoors and then transplanted out. They're actually looking very, very nice. Haven't really seen much. Oh, look at this. Look at this. You see it the first time I do. We got a mini cucumber on there. There's another one in the back there. So there's our bees going around pollinating. So we will get at least a few cucumbers off of that. Here's our strawberry bed. They're really starting to, this was one strawberry plant that I bought at Lowe's, and it's really starting to put out runners and spread through the bed. So I'm really hoping that come springtime, we'll get a bunch more strawberries. Okay, this next bed is the onions. I planted these from bulbs, and I think that was a mistake. Okay, next bed. These are tomato plants. For some reason, my tomatoes aren't doing very well. I don't know if there's enough time for these to produce, but they are flowering. There's a couple of flowers on them. I bought these plants from the local store. We've got Heat Master. We've got a very small Roma plant right here. We've got a big boy hybrid tomato, and these are, I don't know what those are. I have no idea what those are. I guess we'll have to wait till, well, if they produce, then we'll find out what they are. Okay, moving on. I love this part of the garden. These are more green beans. These are Kentucky Blue, I believe. And those are flowering, so they should be producing soon. And this jungle here, I am really happy with this. We tried to grow pumpkins and squash in the ground in the spring. Come to find out, this ground isn't good for growing anything except blueberries. So we didn't get any. So I replanted these about a month ago, I think. And they have taken off. They are doing fabulous. So over here we have some butternut squash. See if we can get in here. Some of the leaves are dying. We had a pest problem. We had these army worms come in and they get into the leaf and they curl the leaf around themselves and glue it down. And so, yeah, a lot of these leaves are dying, but I think we've gotten rid of all the worms. But here's the squash. There's a bunch of them in here. There's another one there. There's a bigger one over there, hiding inside of there. And then those squash are actually from this side of the bed. That side of the bed there is actually jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. So far I've only seen one on here, and it's this one right here. I don't know, it don't really look like a jack-o'-lantern though, so that might be coming from the squash bed. Okay, this row here on this side of the bed is pie pumpkins, and we have a couple of those growing. There's one right here starting to turn orange already, and there's one down the other end of the bed too. And this side of the bed where that pumpkin is actually acorn squash, and there's a bunch of those in there. So I'm thinking I probably shouldn't have planted pumpkins and squash so close together because they'll probably cross-pollinate. But these were the only two beds that I had available at the time, and I really wanted to get them started and see if we could get some. So it is what it is. Now this last bed right here, all of this is volunteer plants. There are watermelon plants in here. I don't believe they'll have anywhere near enough time to make. And there are some tomato plants in here. This is a tomato plant, and this over here is a tomato plant. And this here, I'm not sure, it's some kind of either squash or cantaloupe, honeydew melon. It's something of the sort. I don't believe that's going to produce either. But this, we didn't even put dirt in this bed. We were filling this up with sawdust because I got a tip from a viewer that I could grow potatoes in sawdust. So there's a little bit of dirt underneath the sawdust, but we were filling this up with sawdust for our spring potatoes. And next thing we knew, all the stuff was sprouting. So I'm not going to rip it up. We'll just let it go and see what happens. If we happen to get a really late frost this year, then maybe I'll get a watermelon. So that's the garden. That's what we have growing as of right now. And we need to plant some more stuff. Enough of me talking. Let's get some seeds in the ground. Okay. The first thing we're going to get in is our beets. I bought 2 different kinds. I got Detroit dark red medium tops, and I got Beet Early Wonder. And I just bought these from Walmart. I think we're gonna do a row of Early Wonders. Now, my plan is to plant 1 row of beets a week until I have all the rows planted. And I'm not very happy with this drip irrigation system. It drips super slow, and the water goes through these beds so quickly that it doesn't really do a very good job at watering. Let me know down in the comments what you use for a watering system. So we're gonna make a little row here. And I wanna put it right up next to the water line so it'll get wet. Okay, let's get these beets in the ground. Okay, for the carrots, I have this rainbow mix of carrots, and these are the ones that I had already put in here, and we've got 7 that came up. Normally, when I plant carrots, I would put the seeds in the ground and then I would cover it with a board, which is why I have this board right here. I would lay that on top of the seeds until they germinate. But because I've already got some up here, I don't want to kill them. I'm going to just fill in the empty spaces in between these plants with some more of these and try to keep them wet and hope they come up. On the next row, I will definitely put the board down on top of the seeds after I plant, and that will increase your germination rate. Okay, so we're down at the tomato bed, and we're gonna plant these sugar daddy peas. Now, we did cover this bed with wood chips to keep the moisture in, and it definitely works to keep the moisture in. This bed is much wetter than the other beds. The beds that we haven't put the wood chips on yet, they are bone dry. But I'm gonna pull these wood chips back so that they don't interfere with the seeds coming up. And after the seeds come up, we'll just push the wood chips back onto them. Now, I'm going to plant these about every 4 inches. That seemed to work well in the springtime. Okay, so this is the first bed that Eddie built for me when we got here, and we grew some broccoli, some celery, and some spinach in this bed. But we haven't used it since then, and it's very clumpy, kind of clayey. It's a mix of a lot of different things. We had started out by putting sticks on the bottom of it, and we added some leaves. There's manure in it, but we haven't taken care of it, so it's very clumpy. So what I'm going to do is I have all these worm castings still that I just harvested from my worms. So I've marked out all my rows where my seeds are going to go. So I'm going to take the worm castings and I'm going to put them down the rows. And this will just give the seeds, I think, it'll give them something better to get a hold of when they start out, instead of whatever's in here that's all clumpy. And I've got plenty of worm castings, so we're just going to fill up my rows with the worm castings. So we've got all of our rows filled up with worm castings. Let's start right here. I'm going to try some iceberg lettuce. We're not wild about iceberg lettuce because, as I was saying, it's mostly water. But it's good to have a head of lettuce when it's time to make tacos. Okay, we're just going to pat those down into the worm castings. We don't want to cover them up too much. We're gonna do 2 rows of the head lettuce, and if they germinate, we'll have to thin them out then, because I'm not going to plant 1 seed every 6 inches. So next up we have Grand Rapids tip burn resistant lettuce. Again, these seeds all came from Walmart. So this is a cut and come again lettuce. We're going to plant 2 rows of this, and we want to sow it pretty thickly since it is a cut and come again. Now we're going to do some large ribbed dark green Swiss chard. I usually do the bright lights chard, which I do have some of those we're going to plant too, but I want to try something different. We're going to do 2 rows of this chard. It would be nice if we could get enough chard to put up a bunch, can up a bunch. Now we have the bright lights chard. This is the one we normally grow. Okay, 2 rows of this. All right. Now, the last thing we need to put in is our spinach. And we use spinach for a lot of things. So we're going to do 3 rows of the spinach. I would love to try new varieties of everything that I've planted. So if y'all have a favorite, let me know down in the comments. I'm willing to try anything. So there you have it. We've got all of our fall garden planted. I want to thank you all for coming along on this journey with us. We really appreciate all of our subscribers and everybody that watches our videos. It really means a lot to us. For all of you subscribers that have stuck with us right from the beginning, I want to give you a big thank you. We really, really appreciate it, and I love to see your comments. I love to see the same people coming back time and time again, leaving us a comment, either praising us or telling us what we did wrong. Either way, I love to see that you're still watching our videos, and we really appreciate it. So now we'll wait till later this fall and see if anything we planted actually came to fruition and what we can harvest. So keep your eyes open for that. We'll see how this garden does. For now, everybody stay safe, and we will see you next time.